Chosen one, stop for a moment. Not because disaster has been scheduled for your life, not because God is trying to frighten you. Stop because something around you is changing faster than your current way of seeing can interpret. You have felt it already. The restlessness has been unusual. The old routines feel heavier than before, and one decision keeps returning to your mind, even when you try to distract yourself with other things. This is not a warning that something is coming to destroy you. It is a warning that something important may arrive while your attention is somewhere else. The danger is not always the event. Sometimes the danger is being too distracted to recognize what the event requires from you. Receive this as an invitation to discernment. Do not receive it as a prophecy designed to make you afraid. God does not need panic to guide you. Fear makes everything feel urgent, but wisdom reveals what actually matters. There are 3 signs you may already be living through this shift. First, things that once felt normal now feel impossible to tolerate. A room, a habit, a conversation, or a pattern now drains you faster than it did before. Second, small tasks feel strangely heavy. You can spend hours doing things that do not matter, but the moment you face the one task connected to your future, resistance appears. Your body gets tired. Your mind looks for an escape. Third, one unfinished decision keeps returning. It may involve a call, an application, a boundary, or a beginning. You keep asking for another sign, while the same clear step waits quietly in front of you. The emergency is not that God has forgotten you. The emergency is that your season may be changing while your attention is still trained on the old one. What worked before may no longer carry you forward. Before this message ends, you will know how to distinguish divine urgency from anxiety. You will understand why an answer can feel hidden even when it is already near, and you will see what must be restored before insight can finally become movement. Stay with this carefully. The final distinction explains why sincere people often reach the edge of change, then turn back without realizing what happened. They do not always lack faith. Sometimes they lack a clear receiver. Think about your last 7 days. What have you been unable to ignore? What keeps returning after the noise settles? What decision becomes clearer when you are calm, but more confusing when you are afraid? That difference matters. Anxiety multiplies possibilities. Divine urgency narrows your focus. Anxiety demands that you solve the whole future. Wisdom asks for one faithful step. You do not need to force an answer tonight. You do need to stop feeding the noise that keeps the answer buried. Clarity rarely screams over chaos. It waits for your attention to become honest. Write this in the comments. I choose clarity over fear. Let those words become a decision, not a superstition. You are not activating a miracle by typing them. You are naming the state from which you want to move. There is one sign that reveals whether this message is truly describing you. It is not repeating numbers. It is not waking at an unusual hour. The stronger sign is already present in your daily life, and in the next part, you will recognize it clearly. Chosen one, there is one sign that reveals whether this message is truly describing you. It is not repeating numbers. It is not waking at an unusual hour. It is that the things you once tolerated have suddenly become impossible to ignore. The old environment feels different now. Conversations that once entertained you feel empty. Habits that once soothed you now leave you tired. You are not becoming difficult. You may be recognizing that an old season can no longer support who you are becoming. The first sign is sensitivity to what drains you. You notice the cost of certain rooms, people, and routines. What once took days to affect, you can now change your inner state within minutes. The second sign is a desire to simplify. You want to finish obligations and remove what is unnecessary. Sometimes outer clearing reflects an inner need for fewer signals. The third sign is dissatisfaction with shallow conversation. You can still be kind, but you no longer want to perform connection. Your spirit wants honesty, and your mind wants substance. The fourth sign is more uncomfortable. You know one action needs to happen, but you keep circling it. The action may be simple, yet it carries the weight of a new identity. The fifth sign is freedom from proving yourself. You no longer need everyone to understand your path. Identity becomes credible through action, not announcement. But hear this carefully. Not every discomfort is a message from God. Not every restless feeling means you must leave or confront something immediately. A trustworthy signal usually becomes clearer when your body is calm. Fear creates pressure without direction. Wisdom creates direction without unnecessary pressure. Elijah did not find guidance in the violent wind, the earthquake, or the fire. The direction came through a quieter voice. That story is a picture of discernment. The loudest signal is not always the truest one, and the truest one remains after intensity has passed. This brings us to the first named pattern. It is the receiver gap. The receiver gap is the distance between what God may be placing before you and your ability to notice, process, and respond. An answer can be near, while your mind cycles through many interpretations. The problem is not always the absence of a signal. Sometimes, the receiver carries too much noise. That is why the core truth matters. You are not always stuck because God is silent. You may be stuck because the signal is buried beneath fear, stimulation, self-doubt, and endless searching. This changes how you understand your current season. You are not standing at the beginning of the road. You have already learned, endured, released, and prepared more than you realize. You may be standing at a threshold. The final delay is often not a closed door. It is the habit of waiting for absolute certainty before touching the handle. You keep asking for the whole map, while wisdom keeps returning you to one honest step. Write this in the comments. My old season no longer defines me. Do not write it to escape the past. Write it because the past has taught you what can no longer lead your future. The next question is urgent. How can you know whether the pressure you feel is divine urgency or anxiety wearing spiritual language? The difference is subtle, but once you see it, several moments from your past will make sense in a completely new way. Chosen one. The pressure you feel is not proof that you must move faster. Sometimes pressure is the signal, sometimes it is the interference. In the next few minutes, you will see the difference. Your thoughts accelerate, your chest tightens, your attention jumps between possibilities, and every choice begins to feel as if it carries the weight of your entire future. You open several messages. You search for one more confirmation. You ask different people the same question, yet each new opinion creates another path, and the growing number of paths makes you less certain. You may have called this spiritual sensitivity. You may have believed that stronger emotion meant clearer guidance, but intensity alone does not prove accuracy. A loud, internal reaction can still come from fear. You are not weak because you feel pressure. You are not disobedient because you need time to become calm. And you are not missing God simply because you cannot act immediately. The hidden mechanism is called sacred signal fatigue. It begins when too many messages, warnings, and possibilities compete for the same limited attention. Anxiety expands the field of danger. It makes every option feel urgent. It asks you to solve the whole future before taking one step. Divine urgency works differently. It narrows the field until one faithful action becomes visible. Anxiety says everything depends on this moment. Wisdom says this moment contains one responsibility. Anxiety pushes you to escape discomfort. Discernment asks whether the action remains honest after the discomfort settles. Those moments do not prove that you cannot hear God. They may show that you confused emotional intensity with spiritual precision. The receiver was processing too many alarms at once. Now your past can be understood differently. The hurried choices were not proof that your calling was false. The seasons of hesitation were not wasted. They revealed the pattern that must change before the next threshold. Test the pattern with 3 questions. Does this direction become clearer when I am calm? Is the next step specific and consistent with my values? Am I moving from clarity or only escaping discomfort? This does not make urgency passive. It makes urgency precise. You can move quickly without moving blindly. You can honor a deadline without allowing fear to become your guide. Research laboratories discovered something about the human mind that helps explain why a sincere person can recognize truth and still feel unable to move. The discovery traces back to Nobel Prize-winning work, but its practical meaning has remained outside most spiritual conversations. I will return to what was found later. For now, hold one question. What if the fog you blamed on age, laziness, or weak faith is not a character flaw at all? What if part of the struggle involves the condition of the receiver carrying the instruction? Picture one morning in the near future. You wake without searching for another sign. You know the first call to make. You know the document to open. You know which conversation deserves your full presence. The change is quieter. Your attention gathers around one clear and responsible step. Before today ends, choose one decision surrounded by noise. Sit with the 3 questions, then reduce the answer to one action that can be completed in 15 minutes. That action will not solve your entire future. It will teach your mind and body that clarity can become movement without panic. The pressure is no longer your master. The signal can now be tested. Next, you will see why searching harder can bury the answer you are trying to receive. Chosen one, the next trap is quieter than fear. It looks like devotion. It feels like diligence. But it can keep you searching long after the answer has already become clear. You pray, then reach for your phone. You write in your journal, then watch another message. You ask for confirmation, then collect 5 opinions that pull your attention in different directions. The more you search, the farther away peace seems to move. This does not always mean God is silent. It does not always mean your faith is weak. It may mean your receiver is carrying more signals than it can sort, with honesty and calm. This pattern is called sacred signal fatigue. It happens when spiritual input becomes so constant that discernment turns into consumption. You stop listening for what is true because you are busy comparing what everyone else says might be true. Think about the last decision that exhausted you. You may have prayed sincerely. You may have asked for wisdom. But every time a quiet answer appeared, you covered it with another search. The common explanation is that you need one more sign. The hidden truth is that more input can reduce clarity when the receiver never gets silence. A signal cannot become useful if it is never allowed to remain alone. Anxiety multiplies interpretations. Discernment removes what is unnecessary. Anxiety asks what every possible future could mean. Wisdom asks what one honest action requires today. This changes the meaning of your past. You did not fail at prayer. You were trying to hear a quiet direction inside an environment built from constant stimulation. Searching became protection from the fear of choosing wrongly. That protection once felt wise. Now it delays you, because uncertainty keeps responsibility outside your hands. You may be thinking, I have heard that my breakthrough is close before. That reaction is not unbelief. It is the exhaustion of someone who received anticipation without a mechanism. So this message will not ask you to believe another promise. It will show you why movement has failed to follow insight, and what you can test in your own life before today ends. For the next 24 hours, stop searching for new messages about the decision in front of you. Do not seek another prediction. Do not ask another person to carry the responsibility that belongs to your discernment. Take one sheet of paper, write one sentence. The sentence is simple. What I already know, but do not want to admit, is this. Do not force an answer. Let the first honest sentence appear. Then choose one action that can be completed in 15 minutes. Send the email, open the document, write the first paragraph. Schedule the conversation. This is not rebellion against spiritual guidance. It is a way of protecting guidance from endless interference. Silence is not emptiness when it gives one true signal room to remain. Write this in the comments. One clear step is enough. Let those words become a boundary against the habit of searching for more than this moment requires. The next truth is more uncomfortable. You may already know what to do, yet still feel unable to move. That does not always mean the answer is incomplete. It may mean your insight has reached your mind, while the rest of your system is still living in the old pattern. Chosen one, I have not named you completely yet. Being chosen does not mean receiving secret information about every future event. It means becoming the kind of person who can recognize the next faithful step, while others are distracted by noise. There is a more precise name for the season you are in. It is the threshold season. You are no longer who you were, but your daily actions have not fully caught up with who you are becoming. This is why the resistance feels strange. You know the call to make. You know what must end. You know which project needs your attention. Yet when the moment to act arrives, your energy changes. You feel tired. You reach for distraction. You decide to prepare a little longer. The action may be simple, but it carries the weight of a new identity, because once you begin, you can no longer pretend the old life is your only option. You have probably called this laziness. You may have blamed weak discipline. You may have wondered whether you ever wanted change at all. But those explanations do not reveal the full mechanism. The hidden pattern is called the threshold delay. Your mind can understand a new direction before your habits and nervous system accept it as familiar. Insight arrives quickly, but embodied change often moves more slowly. That is why you can feel inspired at night and resistant in the morning. Nothing sacred disappeared while you slept. The old pattern simply returned when action became real. Now your past can be seen with more mercy. You were not standing still because your calling was false. You were waiting for a feeling of complete certainty that no meaningful decision can provide. You thought readiness would remove discomfort. In truth, readiness often means you can carry discomfort without allowing it to choose for you. You do not need the fear to disappear before your feet begin to move. Here is the practice. It is called the 10-minute obedience rule. Name one action connected to what is already clear. Make it small enough to begin within 10 minutes. Do not finish the whole project. Open the page. Do not solve the whole relationship. Write the first honest sentence. Do not design the entire future. Make the first appointment. The purpose is not dramatic progress. The purpose is to teach your mind and body that clarity can become movement before certainty arrives. Imagine a door in front of you. You do not need to see the entire room beyond it. Place your hand on the handle. Notice what happens inside your chest when you stop asking for the whole map. Why does knowing all of this still fail to produce movement? Why can you recognize the pattern, agree with the truth, and wake up tomorrow inside the same delay? The answer is not that you need more faith, more motivation, or one more sign. The missing piece is the condition of the receiver carrying the instruction. What researchers discovered about that receiver changes the meaning of almost every season in which you thought God had gone silent. Earlier, you heard that the fog might not be a character flaw. That open question is about to close, but first, notice what has already changed. You can now name the pressure. You can separate anxiety from direction. You can see how endless searching buries a signal. You can recognize the threshold delay when it tries to disguise itself as preparation. The next revelation connects these patterns. It explains why insight can remain trapped as insight, even when your desire is sincere and your next step is already visible. Chosen one, earlier I asked you to hold a question. What if the fog you blamed on age, laziness, or weak faith is not a character flaw at all? We are close to the answer. I waited, Because a solution sounds unnecessary until you understand the full problem it was designed to address. You now understand that shape. Insight does not always fail because desire is weak. Attention can be overloaded. Habits can protect the familiar. The receiver can carry the instruction with less clarity than the moment requires. The answer is not more pressure. It is less noise, one clear step, and support for the state from which that step must be recognized and chosen. You are not too late. You are becoming someone who can bring a clearer mind into the calling already placed before you. The clarity you received is real, but clarity alone is not movement. The door is visible now. What remains is restoring the receiver that must recognize it, choose it, and walk through. Do you remember the question I asked you to hold? The answer begins with research associated with Doctor Roger Sperry, who received the Nobel Prize in 1981 for work involving the divided functions of the brain. The presentation behind this resource describes the two hemispheres as designed for greater coordination. It calls this whole brain activation and connects that state with clearer thinking and more integrated decisions. A woman from California described years of prayer, journaling, and meditation. She believed the words, but guidance still felt distant. After using the sequence, she reported clearer thinking and a stronger sense of inner direction. Her experience is personal. It is not a guarantee. A man from Texas carried responsibility for work and family, while constant fog made decisions heavier. After using the same sequence, he reported improved clarity and better focus on what mattered. Again, that is one reported experience. Results can differ. A team led by Doctor Daniel Barone created an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. The user wears headphones, closes the eyes, relaxes, and listens once each day. They call it the Genius Switch. The Genius Switch is described as using neural sync technology to support hemisphere synchronization and whole brain activation. It is not presented as a meditation app or an ordinary brainwave track. This matters if common soundtracks disappointed you. The product presentation says those methods address only part of the picture, while this sequence uses a broader synchronization protocol. The Genius Switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who is ready to stop treating fog as a moral failure, and who understands that a tool may support clarity without replacing God or personal responsibility. The team compares the program with services costing hundreds of dollars for one session and with home equipment costing thousands. The listed price is $49. The page described in the product file offers an additional reduction, bringing the current price to $39. The purchase includes 4 bonuses. There is a guided visualization, a smart grocery shopping guide, a classic manifestation book, and a printable infographic covering 5 habits for an ideal future. The program includes lifetime access. It is also presented with a money-back guarantee under the terms shown on the official page. Read those terms carefully before deciding. The cost of waiting is not punishment. It is another week of making important choices from the same fog. One warning matters. The official version is not listed as an ordinary track on Amazon, Spotify, or similar sources. Products using similar language may not contain the mechanism described by Dr. Barone and his team. The verified path is in the description and the pinned comment. Review the details and terms for yourself. If your spirit resonates and the information makes sense, that is where the resource is available. Do not force the decision. Clarity should support choice, not pressure it. The tool does not replace God. It does not replace prayer, obedience, medical care, or professional support. A tool can support clarity, but the responsibility to act remains yours. This is where the deeper message returns. Once clarity improves, confusion can no longer carry every excuse. The next question is not only what you can receive, it is what your life will require when the next step becomes impossible to deny. Chosen one, clarity brings comfort, but it also brings responsibility. You said you wanted the answer. You asked for direction. Yet when the next step becomes visible, another form of resistance can rise. You begin to negotiate. You ask for one more sign. You search for a better time, a cleaner feeling, or a guarantee that no one will misunderstand you. Confusion returns because confusion feels safer than commitment. This is not always a lack of clarity. Sometimes it is fear of what clarity requires. Once you know the conversation must happen, the project must begin, or the boundary must be set, you can no longer hide behind uncertainty. The hidden mechanism is simple. Ambiguity protects you from the possibility of failure, rejection, and change. It allows you to say, "I do not know yet," when a quieter part of you already knows enough to begin. That does not make you dishonest. It makes you human. A familiar pattern can feel safer than an honest future, even when the familiar pattern has become painful. Now, your past can be seen differently. The times you returned to confusion were not proof that you were fake. Part of you was protecting the identity, relationships, and routines that action might disturb. The protection once had a purpose, but it cannot lead the next season. You do not need to attack that part of yourself. You need to show it that one clear action will not destroy you. This is the final breakthrough. Clarity does not only remove pain, it removes excuses. It asks you to become visible inside your own life. Create a clarity contract for the next 72 hours. Do not search for more signs about what is already clear. Choose one action that another person could observe. Then evaluate the result after the action, not before it. The action may be sending one message. It may be opening a document. It may be declining an invitation. It may be setting a date for the conversation you have postponed. Keep it specific. Keep it honest. Let your nervous system learn that movement can happen without panic, perfection, or complete certainty. Imagine yourself 6 months from now. You wake before the alarm, and the first feeling is not pressure. Your attention does not scatter across 10 possible emergencies. It settles on what matters. You know the first task. You begin before opening social media. You send the email before fear can rewrite it. Your day is not perfect, but it has direction. At work, you notice an opportunity that constant fog once hid. You do not assume it guarantees success. You simply recognize it, study it, and make a clearer decision. In your relationships, you listen to the full sentence before defending yourself. You notice the difference between another person's words and the old wound trying to interpret them. In your calling, progress is no longer measured by how many signs you receive. It is measured by how faithfully you respond to the truth already within reach. The resource described earlier remains available in the description and the pinned comment. Review it only if it fits your needs and the details make sense to you. Write this in the comments. Clarity requires a response. Let the sentence remind you that insight is not the end of the journey. The final movement begins now. You have named the noise. You have seen the receiver. The next step is to bring this truth out of thought and into the body, where a new pattern can begin. Chosen one, place both feet on the floor. Let your hands rest. Release your jaw. Lower your shoulders. You do not need to create a supernatural experience. Take one slow breath. Let it leave without force. Notice the support beneath you, and allow your body to understand that this moment does not require panic. Imagine a quiet room. Several radios are playing at the same time. One carries fear. One carries the expectations of others. One repeats every mistake you have made. Do not break the radios. Do not fight them. Walk toward the first one and lower the volume. Let fear become quieter without demanding that it disappear. Move to the next one. Lower the volume of comparison. Lower the volume of urgency without direction. Lower the volume of every opinion that does not belong inside this decision. The room changes. The noise remains, but it is no longer in control. Clarity is not always the loudest voice. Clarity is often what remains true after emotional intensity settles. It does not demand the whole future. It gives one step. Place one hand over your chest. Breathe in slowly and think, I release the noise. Breathe out gently and think, I receive the next step. Repeat it once more. I release the noise. I receive the next step. Bring one decision to mind. Do not choose the most dramatic problem. Choose the decision that has returned quietly and consistently. Ask one question. What is the smallest honest action available to me now? Do not demand an image. Do not wait for a voice. Let a simple action appear. It may be a call, a message, a page, a boundary, or a moment of rest. Notice where your body tightens. Breathe into that place. Resistance does not automatically mean the action is wrong. It may mean the action is unfamiliar. You are not required to carry the entire road. You are only being asked to recognize the step within reach. Receive these words as a prayer placed gently before your heart. My child, I am not asking you to carry the entire future. I am asking you to become present enough to recognize the step already within reach. Let that sentence settle. The future is not demanding that you solve it tonight. This moment is asking for honesty. Name the action silently. Make it small. Make it measurable. Decide when you will begin. When this message ends, the familiar noise may return. That does not mean you failed. It means you will have another chance to lower the volume and choose again. Your new pattern does not begin with a perfect feeling. It begins when one clear action follows one clear decision. Take one final breath. Inhale peace. Exhale pressure. Keep the next step close. One question remains. When this ends and the familiar noise returns, what will you do in the first 10 minutes? The answer does not need to be dramatic. It needs to be specific. Chosen one. One question remains. When this message ends and the familiar noise returns, what will you do in the first 10 minutes? This is where the message becomes a decision. You do not need another dramatic feeling. You need one clear response. You were not lacking every answer. The signal was buried beneath fear, stimulation, self-doubt, and endless searching. The problem was not always silence. Sometimes it was interference. Now you know what to do. Reduce the noise. Separate pressure from clarity. Choose one specific action. Support the receiver with habits and tools that help you become present. Say these words slowly. I am not abandoned. I am not too late. I do not need to understand the entire road. I release the noise that has been impersonating guidance. I receive the clarity available in this moment. I trust God with the future. I accept responsibility for the next step. I am becoming a clear receiver, a faithful responder, and a peaceful carrier of what has been placed within me. God, bring wisdom where confusion has lived. Bring peace where fear has been speaking too loudly. Help every person listening recognize the difference between panic and guidance. Give them courage to take the honest step. Protect them from reckless action. Protect them from endless delay. Let their choices come from truth, patience, and responsibility. Where the mind is tired, bring rest. Where the path is unclear, reveal only what is needed for the next faithful movement. Do not let this prayer become another place to hide from action. Let it seal the clarity already received, and let that clarity become visible through one decision. Write this in the comments. I receive clarity, and I will take the next step. Share this message with one person living inside confusion. They may need permission to lower the noise and recognize the step already near. The resource described earlier is available in the description if it fits your needs. Read the details carefully. Make the decision from clarity, not pressure. Chosen one, the emergency was never that God had forgotten you. The emergency was allowing the noise to speak longer than the truth. The noise has been named. The receiver has been seen. The next step is yours. Move with peace. Move with honesty. Take the first 10 minutes seriously. Open the page, send the message, write the sentence, make the call. Let one faithful action become the evidence that this message did not end when the voice became silent. It continued through you. The season does not change because you felt something. It changes when truth becomes practice. You have the next step. Take it in peace.